Hey, what's up? My name is Joshua. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I got out of $40,000 of debt and did so by the age of 30. I'm going to show you how I got into debt in the first place, the steps I took to get out, and how you can do the same in your life. If that sounds good, keep watching. This is Joshua Talks Money. So I'm really excited that you found your way to this channel, to this video. Here we talk about all things personal finance, from getting out of debt, managing your taxes, investing, saving for retirement, because I believe your relationship with money will directly impact the quality of your life and your future. So if that sounds helpful to you, I would love for you to subscribe. You can hit the like button, follow along, join the community, and we will work towards financial freedom together. Okay, so let's talk about today's video. As we talk about how I got debt-free, we have to go back and explore how I got into debt in the first place. Now, my story may be very similar to yours. It was primarily debt made up of three categories: credit cards, student loan debt, and my car. So I have this vivid memory of when I first willingly went into debt on my own. I was just starting college, and I applied for a credit card to get one of these white MacBooks. Now, if you've seen these things, these are awesome. They were so cool. I had to have one, and so I applied, and sure enough, I got approved. And just like with most debt, maybe debt you have, I self-justified the reasons why this was okay. You know, hey, I need this computer for school. I need this computer for my professional career. This isn't some extravagant, wasteful purchase. This is an investment in me. That sounds good at the time, but you have to understand the dynamics of the debt you're taking on, and I was not ready to do that. So I didn't take responsibility and understand my contract, and there was a clause to where if there were some missed payments and things, the interest rate could spike from like 2%, 3% to 25%. And sure enough, me in college, irresponsible, not really paying attention, I missed some payments. Not even because I didn't have the money. I had the money. I just wasn't setting up auto pay, or I didn't do the things I needed to do to control that debt. All right, next was my car loan. So thankfully, I'm not a big fan of cars, so I didn't get into some luxurious vehicle that I couldn't afford. And I probably would have. I think I just didn't have the credit to even explore that, thank goodness. But I think I got into a worse situation where, yes, the car itself was less valuable, but the interest rate on this auto loan, because of my credit, was like 13%. It was high. I was paying extremely high interest on a little Chevy Cobalt, and that was a tough car payment and debt to carry with me. All right, last up was student loans. So I took out about $25,000, and I did that while I was attending the University of Central Florida. Keep in mind, I was still working full-time with the Cobalt, driving to work, and those jobs were covering my room and board and food and life. The tricky thing with student loans is these loans can stay with you, and the government can literally garnish your wages if you default and don't pay. That's like a terrifying, terrifying thing. So knowing that, it's really important to be responsible with the amount of student loans that you take out. So there's three pitfalls I see with student loans, which are you either change your degree several times. I've had friends who switch from one major to another, and this is accumulating debt for courses that don't really apply to the degree they're ultimately seeking. The second could be to get a degree that doesn't pay much in the market. There's plenty of things you may be passionate about, and they're really admirable to be studying, but they just don't pay enough to offset the debt you're taking on to get the degree. And the third one is what I did. I had to withdraw from a few classes, and I still had to pay that bill. So effectively, I'm paying for the same class multiple times, which is just a terrible, terrible decision. So I'm curious, if you have student loan debt now, I'd love to know how much you're paying off. You can drop it in a comment. Maybe you've paid yours off. I'd love to know how much you paid off. You can drop that in a comment below as well. All right, so that's how I got into $40,000 of debt. So how did I get out? Well, the first step was being aware of the debt itself and understanding that I should strive to get rid of it. Now, this happened randomly as I was driving to work in the Cobalt, listening to the radio, and there was someone named Dave Ramsey who was talking to people on his radio show about debt. Now, Dave Ramsey is pretty synonymous with being debt-free. He's a well-known financial speaker and author, and he's had a huge impact on my life. I'll do videos on Dave's books and principles later, but he's the reason I even thought to consider this debt-free idea. So there's a concept that he speaks about called the Debt Snowball. And what this is you pay off the smallest debt that you have first, knock it out entirely, and start building until all of your debt is gone. There's a psychological component to this. When you see that you can remove a debt, even if it's small, it's really an amazing freeing experience. And I think it gives you that snowball, that momentum to keep that up through financial freedom. Okay, so step 2 is know your numbers. I will talk about this concept endlessly on this channel because I think it's so important to understand the numbers of your financial situation, whether that's negotiating a raise, getting out of debt, your retirement contributions. You have to do the math. So the first step was I had to get on the phone or create accounts and log in and tally up all of my debt. I had to understand the interest rates, the balance, the payment dates. And you can see the spreadsheet, I kind of put something together like this. It made it a little bit easier to track this stuff. Great, so once you know the debt, the next step is to calculate your income. And I ask people this all the time. How much money do you make a year? Is it 30,000? Is it 50? Are you making 6 figures? And then pause for a moment and imagine over the course of a year, you make $50,000. Imagine you had no other bills. That money was yours. There's no taxes. You could apply it to your debt. How long would it take you? How many months or years would it take you to pay off your debt? But then the sad reality kicks in and you realize you do have to pay taxes and you do have bills. And so that $50,000 is not $50,000. And that's why you have to calculate your net income after expenses, taxes, and bills. So in this example, I put together a spreadsheet of how I did this. I basically list my bills. I list my monthly net income, so after insurance and taxes, and I determine is there a deficit or surplus. Now in this example, I had a surplus of over $200, meaning I could throw $200 per month at my debt, about $2,400 a year. So just doing some quick math, you would see that it's going to take me several years at this pace to pay off that debt. And that's if things go perfectly, because you and I both know, yes, there's this surplus, but if you don't track your spending, if you're not careful, it's going to go to Amazon. It's going to go to partying with your friends. It could go to shopping, whatever it might be. It can quickly be consumed without you knowing, and then you're just delaying getting out of debt. Now, if you run these numbers for your situation, you might be a little discouraged. You might realize, wow, this seems like an insurmountable amount of debt. It's going to take me decades to pay this off, or I'll never pay this off. I've heard people say that. Whatever you do, do not give up. I promise. It's worth it. It's hard work. But when you get through it, your life is going to change forever. And the final step is to stay focused and accelerate your plan. And what I mean by this is hopefully your financial situation improves. You get a raise, you get a better job, you get married maybe, you have double the income. Hopefully you'll see that your net income after your expenses is growing, and you theoretically could use some of that to ease up a bit or to go on a nice vacation, to treat yourself. And I'm not here to say, hey, cut out buying coffee from Starbucks and pinch every single penny. I'm not fully bought in on that approach. But I am convinced that you cannot deviate from the general plan of focusing on the debt. So I'll give you an example of this. In college, I started a company with my friend, and we created mobile apps for businesses. This idea took off. We went from me and him to about 20 full-time employees in little under 3 years. Now, prior to this, in college, I was flipping hamburgers and working in restaurants for about $14 an hour. And as my company became successful, I got paid more money. I actually got a salary for the first time in my life. It was really exciting. And in that, I was tempted to go get a nicer car. I was tempted to go spend money that typically I never could spend because I didn't have it. And in my case, I used to say, well, I need a new car. You know, my clients, they're doing business with us. They need to think that I'm a professional and I'm successful. And the thing is, all those things are true, but thankfully I stayed focused. I looked at that surplus income as an accelerating force to get out of debt. So following those steps, I knocked out the credit card debt first. Thankfully, that was the smallest amount and the highest interest rate. Then I moved on to the student loans because they were smaller balances, and I knocked those out one by one. And finally, my car loan. I remember getting a bonus from the company, and instead of spending it on something crazy, I went to my computer and I paid off $8,000 with a click of a mouse. This is what that looks like.
What are we doing, bro?
Paying off the last debt we have. And there it is. That's the moment. That was the moment I took control of my financial future. I knew with that click of the mouse that any money I received from that point on was in my discretion, where I can invest, I can build wealth, and create the future for myself and family that I want. All right, so to recap, what are the steps? First, you have to be aware of your debt and want to get out of it. Number two, you have to know your numbers. Know your numbers. Do the math, quantify your debt, quantify your paycheck. How fast can you get out? And three, stay focused and accelerate the plan. So I hope you found this video useful. I wanted to share my story in hopes to inspire you, to motivate you, to give you encouragement that this is possible. And if this video was helpful, if you found it interesting, please like and subscribe. Join me for more content in the future. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.